guys, Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach, every week coming into your life really to do three things on this show. I want to multiply your life, which means acceleration. I want to multiply your business, and I want to multiply your money. And most people have one big problem as it relates to how they're growing their business is they can't get their revenues up. Less than 4% of the small businesses out there in the world ever break $1 million of revenue. And I can't tell you how many times in a day I hear, I don't have enough money. So today, I'm going to show you how to get your revenues up, all the way up, so that you can go out there and grow, expand, multiply, and not be constricted and contracted to a small place. Listen, you've been called to do big things in the world, and you can't do it without the money. This is an economic planet we live on. Today's show, from zero to your first million. Come on back, Super Coach. Hey guys, this is Coach Michael Burt. I am so glad you joined me for Super Coach. I believe a good coach can change your life. I believe a good coach will have conversations with you don't want to have, make you do some things you don't want to do, help you become something you didn't think you could become. You see, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. You can't reach your own potential without the help of another person helping you break through those ceilings of success. I'm Coach Michael Burt, and I'm going to find the kryptonite in your life, and I'm going to do it on this show, Super Coach. Hey guys, Coach Michael Burt, Super Coach. Come on and get involved with us today. I want to say shout out to everybody today. I've been speaking all day. Started at 6:30 this morning at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Got into a little Luke chapter 8 verses 1 to 4, Chris Gregory. Okay, got a little Luke chapter 8 verses 1 to 4 this morning at the FCA. Then I went over to I'm trying to think of what I did. Then I worked with Weichert Realtors, Chris Garrett. Thank you for that. Then I went down to NAFA to speak at the National Association of Insurance Providers, and now I'm back with you, baby, and we're talking something big today. How to get to your first million in business. Now, how do you get to your first million in business? I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, man, I don't have the money, I can't grow, I can't hire a person, I can't expand. Your problem is you ain't got your revenues up. Now, let me give you some stats. 28 million small businesses in the world. Less than 4% will ever break $1 million of revenue. Less than 4% will ever break $1 million of revenue. So because they can't break $1 million of revenue, they don't have enough margin. Because they don't have enough margin, they can't go hire an assistant. They can't go hire a sales team. They can't build anything new. And so we got to first figure out how to get those revenues up. And the way we get those revenues up is by creating customers. The way we create customers, Dale Childress, is we go out and solve problems. We solve problems for a demonstrated need of people who are willing to pay money for us to solve those problems. So in today's show, here's what I'm going to teach you. How do we drive our first million of revenue? Now, if I go back, Cena Martin, Becky, my girl from Florida, I love it, Bill Rowe, Takesha Bromell, Jason Jones, Tom Farrell, Richard Pearl, Roy Fraser. If I go back in my business, I'll tell you the story of my business and how it accelerated. I basically was a high school basketball coach, as many of you know. I made $60,000 a year, I think. I think I was one of the highest paid high school coaches in the state of Tennessee, public school teachers, and I had a bigger vision. I began to write books. As I began to write books, people asked me to speak. So I'm over here coaching my team, but people began to ask me to speak. And I go over and speak to these adults, and they're like, man, we really dig it. We really enjoy it. Will you come back? And then I was speaking for free. And then people begin to say, well, how much would it cost us? This is when you know there's a demonstrated need. How much would it cost us for you to work or speak to our team? And I remember the very first time I labored over this, I thought about it all night. I didn't know what to charge. I said, man, it'll be $250. The guy looks at me and says, let's go. So I got my first paid speaking engagement while I'm coaching my team. I'm winning ball games. Now I'm speaking and writing books. Now I got a second revenue stream. And I'm out there trying to kind of push my little ball down the field. And so I move on. I keep speaking. I keep winning the games till finally I spoke at this healthcare event. And we're talking about getting your revenue up. I spoke at this healthcare event. They paid me $1,500 for the day. And on the break, my partner says, look, they want to sign you to a 1-year contract. And he says, you ain't going to believe this, Coach. They want to pay you $12,000 a month, a $144,000 contract from a $1,500 speaking engagement. Now, what did I do? I got my revenue up. Now I got $12,000 coming in a month. Now I'm still a high school basketball coach. Now I'm trying to do this. So what did I do? I come out of the gate strong. Now, here's where the story twists for all the people that think it's easy out there. For all the people that think it's easy. So I retire from athletic coaching. I give up my $60,000. I give up my insurance. I give up my benefits. I got $12,000 coming in. What I got to worry about? I got revenue, baby. And I'm making more revenue than a coach. Within 3 weeks of me retiring from coaching, they voided the contract. Run into financial problems, said we weren't delivering on the goods, canceled the contract. Now I got zero revenue coming in. But let me tell you what I did have. I did have my energy. I did have my creativity. I did have my spunk. I did have my push. So I'm just going out there and I'm like, man, let me go get more speaking engagements. And as I'm speaking, a guy sees me and says, look, do you need office space? I said, man, I need office space. I ain't got any money, but I got a lot of energy. He said, I will give you office space for 1 year if you will just bring your energy to the office every day. Now I don't have office space. And that guy's name was Phil Cavendish. So now I got an office and I'm speaking. But so what did I have to do? So in my very first year, I went out and spoke. I didn't know my value. I didn't know my EOS. I didn't have a selling system. I didn't have $1 million. I didn't have any of the stuff I have today. And in the first year, we drove $75,000 of revenue. $75,000. But here's the kicker. We showed a negative $35,000 on our profit and loss. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I called the accountant. I said, man, something's wrong. Something's wrong. You got to have this all wrong. We had to make money because I'm the flying monkey out there in the world generating all this stuff. And my accountant said, no, you're wrong, Coach Burt. You didn't make any money. You drove $75,000 of revenue and you lost $35,000. How much did I pay my assistant? $35,000. Now, she was not an expense. She was an investment. But in year one, when I come out of the gates, I show a negative $35,000. Now, what would most people do in their business? They would shut it down. Now, where did that $35,000 come from? Thank goodness I had saved money and I had some money in the bank and that replaced or replenished. So in year one, I ain't even thinking about getting to $1 million. I'm thinking about how do I even be profitable. Have you been there before? All the people that are listening to me today on Super Coach, have you been there before? So what I could have done was shut it down, contract, retreat, give up, give in, go back to coaching. But I heard it this morning at the FCA breakfast. You got to have a long obedience in the same direction. You got to have a long obedience in the same direction. So I buckled down. I kept going. And in year two, I jumped my revenues from $75,000 to $150,000, and I showed a $30,000 profit in year number two. Year three, I jumped to $300,000. And what am I doing? I'm out there trying to get my revenue up. So what am I doing? That's what I'm going to show you today. So let me break this down in segment one for you, okay? 4% of small businesses ever break through $1 million in revenue. Number one problem is they can't get their revenue up. Real problem is they can't get customers because they don't have a selling system, because they're not solving a problem to a demonstrated need of people that will pay for it. Everybody see what the thing is? So when we come back in segment number two, I'm going to show you what I call the two secrets are. And before this show is up, I'm going to show you how to get your revenue, your top line revenue, to $1 million. So here's your real problem, man. You got to go out and make some more cheese, man. You got to go out and make some more jack. You got to go out and make some more lettuce. And that all starts with how good you sell and how persistent you are. Long obedience in the same direction, multiplied by time and energy, is going to equal success. Guys, Coach Michael Burt, the Super Coach. Here's the deal, man. I know you had a coach that yelled and cussed and treated you like you were nobody in the past, but guess what? Coaching doesn't have to be a negative process. I embrace the concept of intense but positive. So if you'll never spend the money to have a coach, if you'll never get in a coaching program, do this for me. Buy this book, CoachBurt.com/new book. And when you do, you get all kinds of free coaching from me. This book can become your coach. So get off the couch, man, and let's go get in the ball game so you can get better. Hey guys, welcome back. Super Coach. Every week multiplying life, money, business. Download the podcast on Super Coach on iTunes. And let me say a special thank you to all the people out there who help us make this book an Amazon bestseller this weekend. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. I think they said there were 56,000 books released this weekend. My book was right there beside Tony Robbins, the great Tony Robbins. So all the people that bought it, everybody needs a coach in life. We've been selling this thing in bulk. We sold 175 copies today. We sold a bunch of copies this weekend, which surged it. Now, here's the funny thing. If you don't think you have some adversity, the day my book comes out on Amazon, it's out of stock. So I call my publisher. I'm like, man, it's launch day. What's the problem? He said, Coach, you shocked the system, man. We had too many orders this weekend. And because we had too many orders, Amazon didn't order enough books, so it's temporarily out of stock. They just bought 1,200 more copies. So if you're ordering Everybody Needs a Coach in Life online, thank you for that. Go to Amazon, purchase it, and they will get it to you. I got a lot of copies to sign. Thank you for the people ordering 100, 200, 300 copies. That's really what made it a bestseller, by the way. And if you didn't get a chance last night to watch my Facebook Live, I actually did a Facebook Live on how to create a best-selling product. It took me 12 books, guys. Took me 12 times to figure out how to make it a bestseller, but this is my life's work. This book can become your coach. Now, what's in the book? How do we break through ceilings? So if you're out there, you're trying to get your revenue up. You're trying to get to $1 million of top-line revenue. I don't know what your salary is of that. Is it 30%? Is it 40%? Is it 50%? I don't know what your margins are, but here's what I do know. The first problem you got to get more customers. And that's what we're going to talk about in this segment. I call it 2 secrets. And 2 secrets is you got a talent, a unique talent, and they got a unique need. You got a unique talent. They got a unique need. Now, marketing is nothing more than taking my talent to their need. Your talent to their need. Okay? Your positioning to their need. Your distribution to their need. So if we're going to go all the way up, as it relates to what we're talking about today, guys, we got to first understand what Sullivan calls the fundamental relationship. And the fundamental relationship is here. You got something incredibly valuable over here, but nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows who needs it. So when I'm talking about distribution, if I want to go to $1 million of revenue, Matt Crane, if I want to go to $1 million of revenue, Jason Seiler, the first thing I got to figure out is this: what do I have and who wants it? What do I have and who will pay for it? So there's 2 cycles. I want you to think that customers come in through solving problems, and there's 2 doors they come in: marketing and advertising, and relationship selling. So every week we relationship sell. I mean, I'm talking old school, baby. I'm talking hit list, farm club. It's in my monster producer planner. I got a target list of people I'm going after. I'm trying to get their attention. I'm trying to share my explanation of service. I'm going 7-touch in the follow-up from the book $1 Million Follow-Up. And we trying to sign people up every single day. Why do you think I was speaking this morning at 6:30, at 9 o'clock, and at luncheon? Hey, we signed up monster producers today at lunchtime, and we're going to sign up some more tomorrow. But what if I sat in my office like a secret agent and just sat in here and waited on the phone to ring? No, man. Money follows what? Energy, circulation, move. So in my first year, I lost $35,000. I didn't quit. Long obedience in the same direction. That's a big takeaway from today. That's a book title. Long obedience in the same direction. I didn't give up. I didn't quit. I didn't back down. I didn't contract. Year number 2, I go from $75,000 of revenue to $150. Showed a $30,000 profit. Year number 3, I go to $300,000 of revenue. Show a $75,000 profit. See what I'm going here? Then I go from 3 to 5, 5 to 750, 750 to $1 million. And what I'm doing is I'm just long obedience in the same direction. See, some of you are so close. You are so close, man, to busting out and breaking through, but you give in, right? You don't have that long obedience in the same direction. I said I'm first going to get my company to $1 million of revenue. Then I'm going to get it to $2 million. My goal this year is $2.4 million. I'm not interested in 10% growth, 20% growth. I'm interested in hyper growth. So when I set my goals, I go, we're going from $1 million to $2 million. Matter of fact, we're not going from $1 million to $2 million. We're going from $1 million to $2.4 million. And my accountants are like, Coach, you crazy. No. Hey, the only targets we miss. What did Angelo say, Michelangelo? Okay, it's not that you hit your target or set your target too high and you miss it. It's you set it too low and you hit it. So I set big targets that get me excited. So over here I got relationship selling, which is a selling system. So every week you say, what I got? I got a hit list every week of people I can contact that I'm working on. I got a farm club of people that have indicated interest I'm trying to close. I got new customers I'm trying to onboard correctly. I got a top 25 of people I'm loving on. So go back and listen to some of our previous shows. How am I growing this fast? Every day I'm pitching to new people. Every day I'm closing people in the pipeline through the 7-touch follow-up we teach. Every day I'm onboarding new customers, and every day what? I'm loving on big customers. That's a selling system. So if you're going to go from 0 to $1 million, and you don't have a selling system, I mean, why don't you just go out here today and walk to California and see how it works for you? Why would you walk when you can get on an airplane? Right? And what the airplane is the vehicle. That's the selling system. So if you don't have a selling system, you ain't going from 0 to $1 million. You're not going from 75 to 150 to 300 to 4 because you don't have any way to get you there. We can't drive to Hawaii. We got to fly or take a boat. That's the vehicle, right? So there's two ways we're selling. Over here, we're selling the selling system, which is a systematic way in which we go get customers, drive leads in the door. And then over here, which is the new way of selling, Matt Crane, Jeremy Motley, Shay Horseman, which is attraction marketing. Facebook Lives, database blast, video, YouTube, right? Snapchat, Instagram, attracting. So what I'm doing is you see me push content, push content, push content. And all I'm doing is putting cheese on the mousetrap, man. That's the bait. Well, I look at some people's businesses, and I'm like, where's all your bait at, man? You ain't got any bait. You can't go from 0 to 100,000 if you're doing 2 strategies. So how many strategies do we need to be using? We need to be using all of our relationship selling strategies, and we need to be using our attraction marketing, which is we need to be creating lots of valuable content and shoving it out to the market as fast as we possibly can. And if we're not doing that, we're really not in the game. Okay? Now, let me give you some personal kryptonite here. Here's what I think the problem is. You don't have enough strategies. Okay? You don't have enough strategies, and your activity level ain't where it needs to be. So here's the deal. You're not unlocking the 2 secrets, man. The 2 secrets are you got something special, and there's people that want it, but we got it in the closet. Nobody knows it. So what's my job? Push, 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 until I go out there, and guess what? I'm only looking for people looking for me. You know, I just spoke, and I'll end this segment on this one, in Nashville to insurance advisors, and I told my team, we ain't looking for all those people. I'm going to make a pitch. I'm going to make the ask. The people that are interested, they're going to come up to the front. We're going to sign them up. I'm not interested in trying to beg or plead people to get in. I'm only looking for people that are looking for me. Today we're talking from 0 to your first million. Less than 4% of companies ever break this. So when I hit $1 million of revenue, I'm like, okay, I got something to talk about. Right, Jack? Most businesses ain't going to hit $1 million of revenue. Now, some people selling houses, they're going to hit $15 million. But I'm talking about the actual revenue they're creating. How much revenue did they create? Not the sales number they hit. The revenue they drove, and what profit are they making off that money? How do we get you to your first million? Let me close this segment with this, and I'm coming back for one more, and I'm talking primary flows and expansion. What I say earlier? We got a long obedience in the same direction. Long obedience in the same direction. Multiply with force and energy, and I'm telling you, you will go out and create customers. You're watching Super Coach. I got one more segment. Come on back, man. Come on back. I believe God created coaches for one reason. He knew that we couldn't get there on our own. We couldn't reach our own potential, that we would contract and retreat when it got hard, that we wouldn't hold ourselves accountable. God created coaches to get us to break through that ceiling of complexity. What does God say about your potential? You got to pick up a copy of Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. Pre-release right now. Comes out March 21st. Get all the free gifts that come along with it. Here's the deal. God wants you to expand and multiply. Find out how and to dig into your potential. My new book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. CoachBurt.com/new book. Come on, guys. Super Coach. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let me give a shout out to my sponsor. You know, everybody needs a good coach in life. Peter O'Neill. Peter O'Neill, this is for you, baby. Come on back to Total Growth. Get you infusion from Coach Burt, man, a super coach. I'll tell you who's got an infusion every day. That's my man, Shane Ray, monster producer. Aloha. Ain't nothing worse than summer coming up and you ain't ready to go. Your units need to be serviced. You ain't got somebody you can call. Just call aloha.com. My man, Shane Ray, got his own book out, The Little HVAC Truths. I'm going to tell you something about that guy. It don't have to be boring, man. If you're not checked out Shane Ray, monster producer, check out justcallaloha.com. Big sponsor of the show and personal advocate of Coach Burt. I believe in you, brother. I believe in you. We're going to get your revenue to $1 million today. How many people say, I want to be a millionaire? Right? Absolutely. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. Are you willing to do what it takes to be a millionaire? You know, I told people that I was going to show people today how I went from a high school coach to a millionaire. And let me be honest with you. I didn't set out to be a millionaire. I wanted to be a college basketball coach. I wanted to be the greatest college basketball coach in the world. I first wanted to win a championship at the high school level. I didn't even think about money, to be honest with you, from 20 to 30 years old, man. I made 50, 60,000 a year. I didn't care. But there was a hunger inside of me. There was a passion inside of me. There was a drive inside of me, right? Shane Ray, Jimmy Voss, Peter O'Neill, Bonica. Is it better to sell $500, $2,000 clients or $5,200 clients? Listen, it's all zeros, man. It don't matter. Listen, what if I sold my online academy for $17 a month and we got 5,000 people to buy it? Still $1 million. So I like blue marlins versus blue gills for the question for Bonica here. I go after blue marlin, but listen, sometimes I pick up some blue gills that lead me to blue marlins. So it don't matter to me. We're gonna sell everything from a $24 book to a $100,000 coaching contract. All right, we're gonna sell it all, man. I mean, listen, I will sell you this watch right now if you want to buy it, because I can go get another one. So when you're thinking about this 0 to million, number one, I think you got to get everybody in your shop thinking about sales. Your operation director needs to be thinking about sales. You need to be thinking about sales. Your sales team needs to be thinking about sales. Because without the revenue, guess what? If I don't have the revenue, I can't have a cameraman, and I can't have offices, and I can't have a director of operations, and I can't drive ride on a bus, and I can't fly on the planes. I can't do any of this stuff if my revenue is not where it needs to be. So in this segment, I want to show you this. We got to start talking about your primary flow. And your primary flow is this. So when I started building my businesses, let me tell you some failures that I had. Because I had a bunch. I already told you I lost $35,000 my first year. Okay, what if I didn't have any money there? Let me give you some failures. And I wrote down 1, 2, 3 failures that I had early in my business. Number one, I had people telling me you can't make it big in your local market. You got to go to another market. You got to go to a secondary market. So I picked up my shop, went over to Cool Springs, Tennessee, 30 minutes down the road, Franklin, Tennessee. Opened up a shop. Now listen to this. Spent $500,000. Didn't know anybody. Didn't have any customers. Hired the wrong crew. Fired all of them. One of the only years that I didn't make any money, because I went over to a new market not knowing what I was doing. Spent $500,000, and we didn't make any money, man. That was a big part of the problem. We didn't make any money. So we, although we were driving, I think maybe we drove 550. We spent 500, and it was a big failure, but it battle tested me. It started teaching me how to go into a new market, how to talk to strangers, how to build a brand. So it wasn't a failure. It was really a recalibration. If you're on your track to making $1 million, you're going to fail, recalibrate, try, not work, pivot, all those things. Okay? Because that's what I try to do, okay? What was mistake number 2? I was going after too little of a fish. So I came up with this concept that we were going to have a subscription model. People pay a low monthly fee, get access to 5 workshops a month. And here's the deal. We couldn't get them in the workshops, man. So they're paying a low monthly fee. They have access to 5 times. I teach a workshop to 2 or 3 people. Stupid. But what was it doing? Okay, what was it doing? It was starting to teach me a valuable lesson. We needed to go to subscription models. We need to get monthly recurring revenue. We need to raise the price. We need to go after a higher caliber person. Then I introduced a program called XQ. XQ had 8 to 10 people in it. They paid $5,000 a year. It met once a quarter. Failure of that is didn't meet once a month. Didn't have enough accountability. Didn't have enough structure. But from these failures of going to a new market and failing, losing money, based on what somebody told me, what's good advice for some people ain't good advice for other people. Number 2, having a low subscription model. We couldn't get enough customers. And I was teaching to 2 or 3 people, which drained my battery. Number 3, start a coaching program. Didn't have enough structure behind it. But out of all of this, I had the wrong staff multiple times. Okay, I was hiring people, didn't believe the same things I did, or didn't have an engine big enough to stay with us. Okay, out of all of this came clarity. Came Monster Producer, my big coaching program. It could be $1 million to $5 million program. Out of this came the right staff. Out of this came the right concept. And so when you start thinking of these recalibrations, you see, we would get up to $750 of revenue. Then we get up to $850. Then we get up to $950. How do we break through $1 million? Well, we could serve 1 million people at $1, right? What we could serve 250 people or 400 people at $3.99 a month. We could go out and sign 5 big contracts at $100,000 a month and then add it. So I started to figure out the diversification from our primary flow of income. I started to say, well, what if I made $250,000 speaking? What if I signed up 4 companies at $100,000 apiece? What if we got Monster Producer to 250 people in Monster? What if I brought in another 200,000 from my online academy? And I started to diversify, but I got my primary flow of coaching, and I'm just pushing these different strategies out. And so what am I doing, man? I've got an enormous amount of energy. I'm pushing out these markets. I'm figuring out what's bluegill versus blue marlin. I got a long obedience in the same direction. And then I get a phone call when I was down in Florida from one of my sales guys 2 years ago, and he said, hey, Coach, we did it, man. We broke $1 million of revenue. Now we're in that 4% of companies. I say, if we could do $1 million, why can't we do $2 million? Now, here's the deal. The first financial threshold any person has to break through is $100,000. Less than 12% of the total population make $100,000 of personal income. Once you get to 100, you can get yourself to 250. Once you get to 250, you get to 500. Once you get to 500, now you start thinking about $1 million. So once your company breaks the $1 million, how do we break the $1 million? We didn't break it with one stream. We didn't break it with just Monster Producer. We didn't break it with just me speaking. We broke it with me coaching and speaking and Monster. Now we got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 revenue sources driving in. Now my job is to go out there and sell it. How do I sell it? I solve a problem with our unique talents that people would be willing to compensate us for. So if you're out there trying to get to $1 million revenue, you got to set your targets like this. First revenue target's $100,000. First revenue target's $100,000. Once I get to $100,000, now I start thinking, how do I get to 250? Now I start thinking scale. And what I mean by scale is, how do we replicate? How do we grow you up? How do we take you from a little baby star to a big star? And we talk about that in Monster Producer, Monster Surgeon. Now, if you've been out there watching today, let me give you some shout out. Shane Ray, Melanie Mayo, my mother, Joanna Goodman. Look at all these people out there. Thank you for joining us today. Peter O'Neill, John Piper. I know what you want to do. Chris Gregory, Matt Sargent. You want to be a millionaire, right? Well, solve a problem for 1 million people, they pay you $1 for. Solve a problem for 5,000 people, they pay you $17 for. Solve a $100,000 problem for 10 people. You see what I'm getting at here? Start thinking like this versus like this. But here's the big takeaway from today's show, and I don't want you to miss this, because your kryptonite is, I think it's coming clear to me. Your kryptonite is you don't have a long obedience in the same direction. You divert it easily. You quick fix easily. You want to get rich quick. It ain't happening, man. It's long obedience in one direction, coming back over and over and over and over again. And if you're not willing to do that, you're never going to break $1 million in revenue. Guys, I want to tell you, it took me 12 books to figure out how to make a book a bestseller. But what if I quit after book number 4? I got books in here that we ain't even sold. My first, second, third book, maybe we sell them sometimes we don't. I got books sitting on the shelf we never even sold. Sometimes we had to give them away. But I kept going. I kept recalibrating. I kept watching. I kept studying. I kept pushing till finally I said, we're going to figure out how to do this. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make it a bestseller. Same thing is true of your business. If you're going to get to $1 million, you got to keep long obedience in the same direction. Every single week, guys, multiplying life, money, business. I'm about to do a webinar on this book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. CoachBurt.com/live. CoachBurt.com/live if you want to get on there. Hey, hope you buy the book, and if you do, thank you for the reviews. Thank you for making it a bestseller. I believe everybody needs a good coach in life. God bless you, and thank you for letting me be yours. Hey, I'm talking to you. You've been lazy. You hadn't reached your potential. Everybody around you sees something in you, but you're not getting there. You're not getting it done. You know what you need? You need a good coach. And if you're too cheap to spend the money to get in a real coaching program, the best thing I can give you is my new book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. This book can become your coach. This book is 25 years of my best stuff to help you get to a better place in your life. And guess what? I throw in a lot of coaching for free. Go to CoachBurt.com/new book and understand what an intense and positive coach can do for you.